okay, you know what? Don't worry. Let me get Nigerians. And I called Two-Face. Okay, I first of all called Idris Abdul Karim, Nigeria Jaga. Jaga.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, I'll be so glad to come. And he flew down. We did the show. It was okay. He went back. He told us. The bunch called me. I was there. Face of Two-Face. There's another guy called. He called, and I said, no, I want Two-Face. And I called him. He was ready to come. And that was how he came in. I also called Sway. Sway is a Ghanaian who lives in UK. Yes, I called him, and he was with the help of Bolare. Okay. Because Bolare was, more like the central man then. So we're working together. That was how we made it happen. Yeah.
That all these was around 2003 or 2004?
The last Loud in Accra we did was 2007.
2007.
That was P Square. That was when we brought to P Square. Okay. And it wasn't more like I stopped. I didn't stop.
Okay.
But I needed to further my education. That was why I was going to London. So I felt I should do the same thing in Ghana.
Okay.
So, and it was required that I resign from my company before I could be given residence to go to school.
Okay.
So, and immediately I wrote my resignation letter. I tendered it to Ghana Immigration then. But right now, with the residence, you can work. That's the changes. Yeah. But then it wasn't like that. So immediately I applied for the school. I was given admission at Methodist University. That was where I read my first degree.
Okay.
I read marketing. That's business administration.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I was in the class one day in the lecture hall when my lawyer called me and told me somebody was trying to copyright Loud in Accra. And if I was the one doing it, I said, no, that's Ifadati. So he said, no, he has to stop then. And that was how we all went to court and issues came up. And it was YFM and some other people. And, I tried to explain to them that I wasn't the one. And I've already resigned from the company. Yeah. And even if I was not, its company is quite a different entity it's a legal entity on its own, apart from me. But, we're still growing then. So I'm sure most of them didn't take it easy. We went to court, but we later settled. But I decided to leave the show because it was forgotten his name. Decca's manager, former manager, Kiki.
Yeah, Kiki Benson.
It was Kiki Benson, yes. Yeah. So he was part of those that really, handled things with the YFM and all that. And he was working with me because I remember when I brought Mark Morrison, we didn't mention Mark Morrison. Yeah. He also came down and we hosted him in then called Boomerang. Yeah. And after that show, it was quite lucrative because people turned out. The turnout was unbelievable. Yeah. And then after he decided to go and do it with YFM, not knowing that there will be legal action bringing towards him. And so it made us not, we settled at the end of the day. So that was why I decided to let me chase something else. At least I have other things I could as well embark on. Yes, exactly.
So for now, there's nothing like Loud in Accra no more. And I still
have the right. It's a registered company.
Okay.
It's a registered company. That was why we were able to sue them.
Okay.
It was registered as Loud. So anything Loud, it's my right.
It's your right.
Yeah, so I just decided to calm down a little bit. I was actually disappointed at a point. One of my reasons were because I realized that we were chasing hip life. And most of the artists left hip life and jumped onto crank. That was where the whole thing started. People like, if I would be very precise, Wusu Asem, and my favorite artist, one of Dr. Rap, Ochame Kwame. Yeah. And then so many of them, there were many of them, they moved to crank. And I lamented. I spoke about it. They're like, what's up with you guys, man? We started hip life. I called Reggie. What's going on? Your boys are, it's a trend. And we never came back.
People say music is dynamic. So when the trend changes, or you have to also, as an artist, jump on there. So maybe that's a more reason.
No, I disagree with you, Larry. Let's take, for instance, Afrobeat.
Right.
Today, they have Amapiano. Right. But you hear Amapiano inside Afrobeat. Did you see Afrobeat artists going to Amapiano? That's the point. They left it and joined crank. And they never came back. From crank, they went to dance hall. And God knows where we're going to next, because that's the problem. Let me tell you something. The music was more like a newborn baby. Right. The hip life I know of was like a newborn baby that needed breastfeeding, needed some sort of nurture. Right. So, and if you are doing a music or you have a genre of music and you don't have a name for it, then it's not existing. It's void. Right. That's from my own point of view. Right. Any other person can choose to, define his own. But I find out that if we were all under one umbrella as hip life, and we decide to do dancehall. If you look at Afrobeat, because hip life was given birth before Afrobeat.
Right.
Now, if you look at, you see people like Timaya, they're all dancehall artists. Pato Rankin, they all even Burna Boy is a dancehall artist. Right. But you can't see them parading themselves as dancehall artists. That's the point. Right. There's no how I can portray myself as a hip-hop artist when I know I'm an African. Even my accent only self will spoil the show. And imagine Jay-Z coming to Ghana trying to be a hip-life artist. Does it make sense to you? No. That's the point. That's the point. You need to remain unique for you to be noticed. Right. When I did Anago, that was my first song in Ghana. I got accreditation from neighboring African countries. Cote d'Ivoire, they don't even speak English. Yeah. But they were dancing to it because of the African texture, the way I was dressed, the way the rhythm was all going. Right. That was what made me stand out. Right. You go to other countries like Bahamas, they see some, who's that? You know, they want to know who that was. You can imagine African person who has their color but try to depict the African. So that made me stand out. Okay. And very recently, my very favorite friend too, what's his name? Shatawale. I remember I spoke to him a couple of times over this issue. Like, yo, you're doing hip life. Why are you calling it dancehall? But because they were fighting who the dancehall lord was going to be with Stonebwoy and all the rest of them, and it made them forget where they were coming from. And until I think I had an issue with him and his group at a point where I said even upon that, his music has not gone out of Ghana, it has not crossed Aflawo, and it was something else. But I didn't mean to disrespect him or insult him. But I wanted him to see that apart from naming the music we have, music was more like an investment. You need to go a little bit out of the horizon to be able to make money. You need to go to Nigeria, invest. I've walked into a club here and I saw Davido. I've walked into a club, I saw Wizkid. I've walked into, I saw Burna Boy. They come underground, uninvitedly, but because they want to encroach the whole African continent. And that's why they go plan. So I was like, oh, that's what you should have done. He misunderstood it until 2018, when he now went to Nigeria, he saw what I was saying. They didn't know him. They probably have heard her. Even when he was performing, they were not acknowledging his presence. So that was because he was not forcing to invest in the music side. But put that aside, let's come back to hip life. So I told him that, yo, hip life is the umbrella. That is the only name that can suit what we're doing in Ghana. Let's all embrace it. It's a trend. They keep saying it. And Mama like, what's wrong with these people, man? Until now, we still have no stand. Then he went to US. I remember he came back one time. I was in South Africa then. And he went on some big chair with some, flag behind him. It was like, I went to America and somebody was asking me, what genre of music do I do? Did you see that video? And he was lost. I thought that was a point of U-turn. He would have been the president. That was when he's supposed to have grabbed it together and shifted as hip life. Now, lastly, Reggie, I tried to crown him as hip life artist in Kumasi. Brother, we were on air, myself, Obo, and a couple of other guys. No, Obo was not there. Myself, Two-Face, and a couple of other guys were talking about it. And like, so why do I want to crown him? I say, yeah. I was here when Reggie came back. Reggie's father was actually a friend. I was opportune to meet him. And he came in. And Reggie got back. And I remember one time they were interviewing him, like, so what kind of music do you do? He said, hip life. And I'm like, yeah. That is what it is. It's hip life. That's what they've been doing. Remember I saw them performing. But then they've not named it. So I like, that is the perfect hip and life. It's hip-hop with a bit of high life. So that was the name. But they couldn't see it the way I saw it. I called Reggie. Reggie couldn't turn up in Kumasi because there were fracas. Most of the artists were calling me personally to stay. Don't come here and tell us who be our king. Go. No, they were even threatening me. I remember I bought a crown from London then. I was like, yeah, that's the crown. That crown, I had to use it in our Go video. I have to use it. Okay, it was one of my songs.
So you wanted to crown Reggie?
Yes, because, you know, we have to find a base where we can now rise from. So, and if we don't acknowledge those, because he was the only rapper who stood in then, who was really doing something. Every other artist, they were doing the same thing, but Reggie was this other international artist.
Reggie actually knew exactly what he was doing.
That's what I'm talking about.
With respect to hip life.
Exactly. So, you know, but that didn't happen. So after all the threats, but we still performed in Kumasi with my boys, and we came back to Accra. It was not a good experience. I felt, wow, I've been left alone. And that was why you didn't hear about Loud in Accra again.
Loud in Accra again.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, thank you.
There's this notion that hip life is dead and gone, and there's nobody to resurrect hip life.
Hip life is not a trend. Let's point of correction. It's a name of our kind of music in Ghana. If only they will accept it. A newborn baby, deserves a name.
Yeah.
If that child is not named, when it was, it's not a name.
Yeah.
Hey, it's not a name.
Yeah.
Until you have a name, you're nobody. I'm sorry.
So currently, who's doing hip life?
Most of them are doing hip life. Last Meet, Camido, they're all doing hip life. But it's just that
Camido is doing hip life.
Yeah. Sounds like Afrobeat.
But do they accept that they're doing hip life?
That's the point. I hope my boy, our new boy, Blacko, I hope he should just embrace it and call it hip life. Because I was waiting, last time they were asking him about, and they doesn't even ask him, what genre of music do you do? Yeah. And I'm sure behind the doors they'll be calling him a dancehall artist. He should reject that name. Because dancehall belongs to Jamaicans. We can't do reggae. We can probably take a little bit of it and add into our own kind of music to make a difference. But that shouldn't mean that we should just leave what we have and join them.
So for instance, right now, you've been a frontliner. You've been there. I mean, you've pushed enough your time, your resources, your money and everything. And even you had to forgo the UK so that you can push hip life in Ghana.
Yeah.
Right now, what can we do to still make hip life relevant?
To resuscitate hip life?
Yes.
I think first thing is there's no music seminar. There should be some sort of conference. We should talk about it. We've just started talking about it. And we should talk about hip life. We should all agree that, you know, and I'm sorry to say, those giving awards like the Charterhouse and all the rest of them, they should make hip life the best of all, not dance hall. Okay. They should make it like an award at the end of the day, the Hip Life Artist of the Year, so making it with some amount of money. Well, I like money, but I like God more. So now, if they can, you know, certify that, and having some of artists, because most of them, when Samini started, he was also doing he was doing hip life. Hip life. He was Two-Face. That boy too was another giant in that industry. I think Screwface. He was also doing that same thing. And VIP, of course. There's no how it would have been unfair to mention all this without mentioning them. There were more of those people, and we need to bring them, because how can I grow when my son is growing and I'm not there? How will he understand where I'm coming from? Where will he understand where he's coming from? We need to acknowledge some of these our past artists. You know, right now I was just telling you that somebody like Tiny. He has become a prince of Ghana. That's how I call him. I call him a prince in Ghana because he has stood as a giant on his own. But it's high time to bring up other artists, give them that leverage to become something they want to be, to forward wherever they have stopped. I don't think they've stopped, but what I'm saying is to continue. People like Sarkodie. Sarkodie too he's still doing hip life, but he just wants to sound like a hip hop artist. But please, you can't face the real hip hop artist. You can show that you have a stand in hip hop, but not to carry the umbrella on your head like a hip hop artist. How can you defend it when you face Jay-Z tomorrow and tell him, don't you think he won't want to see you again? Or Kanye West, you say, I'm a hip hop artist from Ghana. You know, you first of all look at you. Oh, okay, I see that. Where are you from? You know, is that what they call it? The thing's in a copycat. Are you getting me? But the moment you mention hip life, it rings a bell, bro. It makes everybody stand up. It makes people like, oh, okay, I'd like to hear what they have. What's it? Can I hear that? Look at Afrobeat. Let's say they don't have a name. Let's say they are calling it hip life or they are calling it hip hop. Do you think they will listen? No. I think all these artists will not like to feature any one of them. But today, look at where they are. Because they have a name for what they do.
Are we lost?
We're not lost. Ghana is talented with art. I mean, they're so over-talented, they worry them. It's just that they are not finding their square roots.
Okay. So who would make the musicians find their square roots?
It's the past and gone. Sorry, that word is just to describe the present tense. You know, people like, you know, VIP, people like Tiny, people like Screwface or Brafo. You're getting, you know them already. These are the people that are supposed to come into conglomeration and be able to foster the rest of it to the other ones coming up. But I can tell you, I manage some artists. One day I had this artist, I loved the song he brought on, and we recorded the song, it was nice, and we were just about shooting the video, and he came back the next day, boss, now I be dancehall artist too. I said, what? What did you say? Dancehall artist? And I didn't have time to talk to him. I just had to leave because I had other meeting too. But that thing kept ringing, like,
ringing a bell.
What's wrong with my boys? We should all focus on what we have. Brother, it is not bad. Look at Timaya. He still does what he does, but you can see the Afrobeat kind of stuff in there, and it's making sense. Everybody wants to watch him. Everybody wants, they are even dance. They're giving him awards. Right. That's what I'm talking about. You can't leave you can't leave your papa home, go claim another place. That's the point. Right. So other artists, like your question, we have artists who are there already who can help us resuscitate hip life, starting from Reggie. I think they should acknowledge him. You see, one of these things is appreciation. Sometimes you help some of them, and it gets to a point, it becomes difficult to, like, the next time you don't want to help anybody, but you can't just stop. Because helping people, you get your blessings directly from God. You're not getting it from these people. Like me, if I'm doing whatever I'm doing, I'm not doing it so that you go back and blow and come back and buy me a house and buy me a car someday. But I do it because I feel good about it. I feel at the end of the day, when I see you up there, I'm like, yeah, we made it. That kind of feeling, you have it. It's enough more than money. It's more far better than money. That feeling, you feel positive. The vibe becomes positive in your mind. And I think that's what is really making some of these artists lag behind. They are not being acknowledged. You see, today, look at all the praises you're giving me. I didn't even know someone has such records. In my mind, I've forgotten about it all. But you see, that's one of those things. You need to acknowledge them, give them awards, give them recognition. Like you see in the Ghana Music Award, the VGMA Award, they didn't mention anybody's name. Am I right? They didn't acknowledge anyone. They didn't even try to play their music.
And even Reggie spoke about the fact that he wasn't even invited to the VGMAs, this particular one.
That's what I'm talking about.
And I felt it a bit below the belt.
That's it.
Yeah, realistically.
That's what it is. So they need to wake up from that angle, and I'm sure the rest of it will sit up. Because I'm sorry to say, we still haven't made sense yet until we agree to move on together. We agree to come under the umbrella of hip life. And we acknowledge those that have played major role in that. I mean, the success of music in Ghana will be highly, highly acknowledged.
You said a lot.
Thank you.
Now let's come to you.
Okay. Ever ready?
Yes, let's come to you. So right now, there's not like promotion for you. Is it because the artists in GH moved from hip life to crank? That's the more reason why you chose to do music on your own, or you were doing music before even coming to promotion?
Okay, you made mention of something I forgot a long time ago. You said I was even a dancer. I won
in Dubai.
A trophy. Yes.
Yeah, in Dubai. I know about it.
And you can imagine that was far back in those days. I've not thought of coming to Ghana. So eventually, I started music ever before then. I started music when I was in secondary school. Wow. During the time of MC Hammer, them.
Oh, okay.
The MC Hammer and all that, you know. So, and it wasn't because we refused to come together to move hip life. Was why I left. I felt the load was too heavy for a foreigner who came in and saw a prospect, saw something that would add value to young youth, and I didn't see that supporting hand. I didn't see people coming to do it. That shouldn't be the case, because probably they didn't see the way I was saying it. But I started back in the days, and when I got to a point, even though my parents didn't like it, they were like, yo, my dad, one time I was performing on the stage, he came and beat me off in front of everybody, slammed me behind his Jeep and drove off, and I thought that was the end of it. But I still realized that while I was still in school, things were really coming my way. It's all about music, music, music. And we do freestyle. When it came to brandy kind of music, the instrumental, we could go to clubs and perform, and they spray us money. And so I started it far back in Nigeria before I embarked on my journey to London, before I stopped in Ghana. So when I came to Ghana, you can imagine, a lover of music, someone who music functions in me. If I saw something different, I should be able to acknowledge it. So the moment I saw those young boys on stage, I felt that was the new page for us to ride on. And that's how I came onto it.
Okay. So right now, how many songs do you have to your credit?
Perhaps I have 5 albums.
5 albums?
Yes, please.
And how many songs on each album?
Each of them, one 12, the other 10. About 3 of them contain 10 songs each. Okay. And so in all, I think I'm having up to 70 songs.
70 songs? Perhaps. 5 albums?
Maybe like 30 videos out there too on YouTube.
And which artists did you feature on?
I featured Shatawale. I featured most of them. Okay. I've featured, I'm sure you've seen some
of them. I've seen the one with yourself, Jupiter, Tiny.
Atinka, there's a lot of
Atinka. Where's Atinka?
He's around. I saw him a few days ago, like 3 days ago. Yeah, he's around.
Atinka is a talent.
He's a talent. He's a talent.
But he's not getting the push.
That's the point. That's the point. You see, I don't want to disrespect anyone because I appreciate Ghana and appreciate all the artists here. But I think it's high time they also give rooms for the younger ones to showcase their talent. Right. Now, giving room doesn't mean you have to leave the stage. It means pulling them. Right. You're standing, pull someone there up. Yeah. People like Sarkodie, Shatawale, and all of this. It's high time they make their own artists and put out there. Right. So, and that's why some of these artists are really lagging behind, because they don't have that supporting time. So I appeal to every one of them, not in any disrespectful manners. I want them to know that, you know, we are all we have. And if you grow old today, your children have to take after you. They have to look after you. Right. You know, and also learn from some of the problems we've had at the past. I remember when Sambini and Shatawale, they started their fracas. I was right in the middle because I was more like the secretary to DC-19 family, DC family. So with Ebony and others, we were in one particular conglomeration. So I spoke to them about it, that we shouldn't be fighting. I remember being on a couple of stages with Shatta, and I told him, when you see me, don't insult Samini and all that. I felt, you know, it was a time where they're supposed to have seen themselves as lovers, as brothers, as brotherhood, as a movement that can surface tomorrow, give birth to other children that will come. Today, I still want to tell you that Ghana has talent compared to Nigeria. I know Nigeria, they are in large numbers. That's what I don't like people comparing Ghana to Nigeria. You can't do that. You can't compare 30 to 300. It's way, that means you're counting one person, you're counting 10 persons here. Statistically. So it shouldn't be, we are not doing any competition, but we're only making that comparison for people to see what, or the way forward, for them to see that if Nigeria could do it, then you can as well do it. Ghana was blessed with music even before Nigeria. I remember then, Style, that was the kind of music we were dancing to. And some play music, some play reggae and all that. There was no name. Some say it's reggae. Some say it's, it was not near anything dance hall. But today they suddenly, who really engineered, who really, you know, brought about the hip life, I mean the Afrobeat, was Fela. Fela too, personally, I didn't like his music because it was full of, you know, political things and, you know, and all that. I remember I went to his show one day. I regretted going to the show. I regretted because, you know, because I had this little boy who happens to be a neighbor's son who cried, and he was going with me, and I took him. It wasn't a good experience. I have to fight all my way through to save the boy because it was rowdy. People were smoking, see people pulling guns, pulling knives and all that. Nah, I didn't like it. So after then, I said, no, I'm not going. Anything about Fela, no. I don't want. I want to be on my own. Until the whole day, one day they said Afrobeat. We all bounced on it. We agreed. We accepted it because there was no other name that would suit what we're doing then. And that's how come about it today. Yes.
But even with Afrobeat, there's an Afrobeat without an S. There's an Afrobeat with an S. Is it the same thing, or it's just the spelling?
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing. I remember I called mine Afrofusion.
We're coming to that.
Yes.
We're coming to that.
But that's a record level, actually. We're all doing the same Afrobeat, but if I want to digress a bit, I say Afrofusion. I think Burna Boy too does the same thing. He does Afrofusion. So it's still Afro. At the end of the day, it's still Afro. I think the compound name is the Afro. That means Africa. Yes.
There's a video you shot over there in Adan. I don't know if it's the Anago or I don't know which video it was. But you were over there at the estuary.
I remember that.
And then there was a lady behind you. You all fell
into the water.
That was even before Castro's situation.
That's true. Yes. I remember
what happened?
I guess God was at work. You know, we were shooting a music video, and at the same time we were shooting a movie. And it was Benita Gaffa, I should be precise, you know her. That was Benita Gaffa. If they could just give us the honor of playing.
They're going to drop it like it's had in the field.
It was Benita Gaffa, you know. And we went there. And we were supposed to ride on the jet ski. And ride around, and I felt I could swim. You know, and then the jet ski got in, and I climbed on the jet ski. And then I was like, one of the lifeguards came to me and said, EZE, please wear this lifeguard, wear this life. I said, oh, don't worry, we're shooting. I don't want the camera to capture the lifeguard and or the life, whatever, you know, what I was wearing. And it shouldn't be the... Then, because I dominated the conversation, so he now excused himself for a bit. He went off the key. And it was time for the director to say action. Then he came to me, he grabbed me like, EZE. I said, you should wear this thing. Wear this thing. And the voice sounded more like an angel. I turned and looked at him like, okay, all right. Then I wore it. That was what saved me. Then we went on that ride. And after much cruise, we got to a point and we fell. The moment we jumped into the water, as someone who has probably swam for a while, I tried to, there was no grip, no friction. The water kept going that way, and I was thinking, if not for that lifeguard, that was what saved me. That's whatever he gave us. And that was how, we don't drink like one or two. We don't drink like one or two cups before we remember that, oh, there was this lifeguard before we not try to. The thing helped us. So, you see, let me define that place from my own experience, There was this big sea, you know, the normal sea was off there. So, more like when the water passes, it channels, so it goes around like that, continuously with a very high current. So it keeps going around, you see, and as it goes round, it digs quite a deep hole there. And there is no, before you can step on the, normally, if you're a good swimmer, once you get into the water, you have to spring up and come back to the, but there was nothing like that. There was nothing. I tried as much as I until I now realized there was a support on my back, and the thing rather kept me hanging. And I tried to use it and levitate myself to a point. I think it was the handwork of God. I came out. Jennifer, Benedicta
was also wearing.
Yeah, she was also wearing. That was what saved us. She was also wearing. And she said she was not coming on that place again. And some professionals dived in to come and bring her out. So when I heard Castro was in my house like 4 days or 3 days before the incident, and I was surprised, like, until I started hearing from reliable sources that, did you see him fall inside the water? Don't say what you don't know. I was lamenting, but it was true. They said they saw him. They saw him. I saw Asamajan say the same thing. That he wasn't there personally to see what happened, but he was in his hotel, and they now called him to come and see what happened. And that was it. They couldn't find him again.
So at that point in time, if, for instance, you didn't have the life jacket...
I was gone. No doubt about it. Anybody who goes there, it's just a warning to anyone who really wants to go to that particular place. Please, if you want to ride a jet ski, it's fun to ride jet ski, but make sure you're wearing the life jacket. Make sure you're wearing it. That water is not something you can play with. Especially coming towards the main beach, the main, sea. Don't play with it. Don't try to play around.
But once you're on a jet ski, can you tell you're getting close to the sea?
Yes, you can. Because when you look far away from you, you see the circle being drawn on the water. You can see that some part of the water is a bit, lower. Somehow you see it. It's obvious. Especially when it rains. You see that there's this force from the main sea channeling those waters inside. That place I could say is a dam or whatever. So it wasn't really meant for that beach. It was not part of the beach. But I think someone artificially created it so that the water can come in there. So that was what really happened. Yes. And when you ride on the jet ski too on that area, you see that if you're clutching to the right, it can navigate you to the left.
Yeah, because I saw like you were turning.
Thank you.
Yeah,
you will lose balance. That's it. You will lose balance. The moment you navigate right, it can push you to the left, and that will be it.
Bro, let's talk about movies. Your very first movie was Johnny.
Yeah.
Very first movie was Johnny.
I was paid well,
Yeah, you were paid well.
How much? 12,000 naira.
12,000.
How much is 12,000?
How much?
It was my first bulky money, so
it
was something to tell about. I mean, 12,000.
That was which year?
Let's say 90s, late 90s.
90s.
Thereabout, yes. Yes, Johnny, yes. Yeah. Johnny was not actually my very first movie.
Oh, really?
Johnny was my first recorded movie. Back in the days, we were doing the stage acting. The live, like the Key Soap, remember?
Concert party.
Yes, concert party. So that was what it was all about. Before the creativity of CD, the compact, they started coming into existence. So Johnny I was lucky. I was featured because there were a lot of great arts there that during the audition. So, and somebody pointed at me like, yo, come, that boy there, come. And that was how I came in. And it was, I've forgotten the guy's name. It was one of the crowd pulling artists too in Nigeria.
Right.
And I was auditioned and they liked my act. And, you know, and I have that thing. Once camera is on me, I'm different from my usual self. And that was how I came on to do Johnny. Johnny was a massive success. And that was my first recorded movie in Nigeria.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And like I said, you've been in about 600...
By the grace of God.
Lifetime movies.
Yeah.
Over 600 Lifetime movies. So you can just think about it. From Johnny to, if I'm even to talk about it, living with Trisha.
Yeah, I'm on it too.
Yeah, you're on that one. And there's the Faith and
Fantasy.
Faith and Fantasy.
Yes.
That's your own production, right?
Yes.
Faith and Fantasy.
I and Pastor Jake.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was my first production also.
Okay.
In Ghana, featuring Majid,
and
Van Vika,
and the like,
and the rest of the Jackie too was on it.
Yeah.
Nikki Samnas,
Yeah.
and many other artists. Yes. Yeah, that was my very first one. So
looking at you right now, I can tell you are of an entertainment background.
Yeah.
Movie, music, promotion for other arts, and the likes.
Yes, I'm an entrepreneur as well,
Yeah.
you know, because you can't just bag all your eggs in one basket, you see. So I started, when I realized there was this music thing in me,
Okay.
it wasn't just in Ghana.
Okay.
At the point I started traveling as well. So, you see, it gets to a point in life where you make a U-turn.
Right.
I was successful in other businesses I ventured in. And I remember I traveled to Bahamas once like that, and I realized I couldn't do anything. I realized I forced, even my friends are like, guy, you're different. This is not you. Not like you, by 5 o'clock, you're up running and all that. But then I find out that I spend much of my time in the room. I don't want to go anywhere. And I felt it was probably I didn't like the environment. I came back to Dubai. When I go to Dubai too, the funniest thing I always say was that I was driving from Dubai to Abu Dhabi, and I stopped in the middle of the road just to write a word, like a rhyme that came into my mind. So all that while, I didn't even think I was coming to do music. And I was buying music equipment. I remember I said, I like this, I like that amp, let me have it. I was buying those things, and every tube I buy, I come with suitcases, I'll leave them, I'll go again. I continue doing that.
Right.
Didn't have any idea that I would someday come back full. I felt I was grown. I felt like, no, let me leave it for the boys. I mean, since I've started touching money, let me maintain that side. But, until one day, something happened. Something that never happened. I was on my trip to Nassau. I was deported, frankly. And I was asking, what happened? What did I... Please, can you stand over here? Oh, please, can you move there? Before I know it, inside the plane. That was how I came back. And the moment I touched Ghana, I came straight to Ghana. I began to wonder, what happened?
Yeah.
God, is there something I've not done right? Please, I'm ready to learn. Meanwhile, those equipments, I've set them up in my house. I've had a room where I started doing music. I employed Lawson, one of the engineers then. He came in, he was doing those jobs. And he was surprised to see me. Boss, you just left. What happened? I like, leave it, we'll talk about it later. Let's just sit down. And David O'Boy, there was another artist then, a hip-hop artist. He was recording that day. And he was recognized. I tried to do some freestyle on it. He was like, yeah, I like that thing. Can we do it? Come. I say, hey, how can you tell your boss to come and do that? So come and do it. That's like a joke. And TikTok one day visited me. They're like, EZE, what's wrong with you? Try and do something. Look at how you dress. You dress like musicians. You dress like us. Right. I'll never forget. In my garage, I couldn't, what are you talking about? I told him I want to promote. I want to really focus more on hip life and push it and all that. Then he walked away. Then the next thing, I came back to the studio and, play. Before I know it, that was how I just broke up. And the real blessings started coming.
Right.
The main thing, I got my admission. Things changed. That was where okay, was that what God wanted me to do?
Right.
All right, then probably I'm not going to die in it, but let me just keep pushing. And by the grace of God, I've gone far. At least it contributes to, if not 25, 30% of my income.
Right.
And I have songs on, Apple, Spotify, and all that.
Right.
So it's really been helpful. That was how the whole thing changed. Okay. Now let's talk about movies. I think that's where we're going to. When I left Nigeria, and after Johnny shot, I left, and I was paid well. I liked it. But why I stopped was one reason, I tell you. I had a jacket. I like jackets a lot. I was wearing this jacket, and that jacket cost me a fortune. And I saved money to get it. So I was walking on the street, and they were showing the Johnny on the TV with that jacket.
With that jacket, okay.
I just hated myself. I removed the jacket and put it back. Then we used to wear these Snoop Dogg bag. I don't even know the long one there. So I just hid it inside. I was on a T-shirt. I felt so bad. Like, why? That's one thing about me. I really hate it when I see what I'm wearing on someone else. Especially, can you imagine those boys? They would have paid. That's him. Yeah. Even with the color of the jacket, they just that's it. Boys to Men. The jacket is called Boys to Men.
Boys to Men. Yeah.
Boys to Men. Yeah. Back in the music, those musicians. Yeah. And that was where I didn't like it again. I said, okay, I think I should travel. I should just leave the country and try to move forward. And that was how I left. And by God's grace, things started happening to me, positively. And then I met Jim Ike, and Michael is actually from the same hometown with me. Michael is Ronye. It's more like a cousin. So one time I was in Lagos, they came to visit me, and they were shooting with I even recently I saw some of those pictures. Actually, I brought it. They're like, Jim Ike was like, you pass here. Pass where? Because you know why? I was interested in money. Okay. But they were rather interested in fame. Okay. And at that point I was rather sponsoring whatever we're doing. So I was comfortable. I didn't want to I'm sorry to say, I didn't know what I was going to end up doing. Maybe I'll end up in drugs or whatever. So I just don't want to saturate my face on the TV. Right. So I tried to explain to them like, I feel uncomfortable doing that, but no. But I helped, and we materialized those things. And then one day I came to Ghana, and I spent time in Ghana, and I ran into Pastor Jake. He was shooting a movie, and he wanted me. And Prince David,
Prince David
Osei, good. He was on set. Then the director was like, EZE looks a lot more matured. I think this scene fits him, with Nadia Buhari too. Okay. So this scene fits him. I'm like, I said, are you sure? So, are you sure? Okay, let's give it a try. That was the moment I think that movie was titled Blood Rival. So I think some excerpts also still on. And so, and with featuring Nadia. So even though we had issues at a point, David was not happy that I was brought on. I've taken his role, and he went all ablaze. And I told the director that I won't be able to do it. So that I prefer him doing it. So he said no. That he's the one directing, that he knows what is best for the scene and all that. I said, only on one condition, let's do it together. Right. And that was how we came on, and it was so nice too, Then after that, we did Blood Sport. Okay. Either the Blood Sport first, before the Blood Rival, with Majid. That was the first time Majid came into. Then we did Blood Sport. It was nice. I think I was like, oh, okay, I have a place, I have a sport in the industry. Okay, let me see if I can do more. And the next one was now myself, Yvonne Okoro, and Prince David Osei. So we're on that one too. That one was titled Sweet Agony, if I remember very well. I was on it too. It was nice, with Yvonne Okoro. It was so I began to like the job. Okay, let me just settle and do it. Then I started facilitating people like Zach Oji, Ernest Obi. I was bringing them with the help of Kasum. Oh, Kasum is a sweetheart. So she was rather hosting them, making sure that everybody had fun. And then too, I felt I should be I've always wanted to be behind the stage, doing the things. But somehow you see them spot me. No, you come here. And that's how, by God's grace, I've been able to do a couple of movies. Those ones were the new one. The very latest one is titled Chronicle of Dombuchi.
Chronicle of
Dombuchi. Yeah, some people say Chronicles. Yes, I produced it, but it's Chronicle.
A Chronicle of Dombuchi. Yourself and who? I'm
sure everybody. Rosalind Gisa, Jessica Williams. Okay. I can't mention. There are many. Okay. Jessica Williams, Jasmine Barudi.
Doreen, you have Doreen on?
Doreen on it too. Okay. Doreen's on it. Doreen on it, and Kofi Ajilo, I can't mention, almost all the stars.
All the stars.
Too Sweet also on it.
Okay.
And I did another movie with Too Sweet titled Trust in Jehovah.
Okay.
It's also on YouTube, some excerpts of it on YouTube.
You're going to tell us the YouTube, the
Ganaija
channel.
TV.
Huh?
Ganaija.
Ganaija TV.
Yeah, Ganaija. So, but if you write Ghana, then you put IJA.
Ghana, then IJA.
So it's Naija.
Naija. Okay, that's your YouTube channel.
Yes, that's our YouTube channel. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
But where cometh the F fame without money?
I see you did a due diligence. Right. Larry. All right. I think it was part of my motto, as a matter of fact. I keep saying we need money.
Okay.
You see, you have to decide if you want money or fame.
Okay.
I want money because I have responsibilities.
Okay.
I'm coming from a background where if I don't have money, I won't be respected. Okay. And I'm also coming from a background where it's quite challenging. And that was why most of the times I was avoiding coming on the screen with those, my colleagues and friends.
Right.
So I like, no, I think I should just define myself well before. And I've always had that in my mind, like, yo, before I could put my face out there, I want to make sure I have a car, make sure I have a house of my own. That was where this folk thing without money. Yeah. Because most people wants to be famous. You can be very famous. And another thing that is scary about it is when I look down the lineups or the lists of famous people who made it in life, it gets scary. I look at Michael Jackson, look at Whitney Houston, oh my God. And look at Teddy Bonchaka. Look at Castro. Look at even within us. Let's not go to Bob Marley and all the rest of them. It became like, oh God, I hope it's not what is really meant. Then I tried to look at the list of those who were famous and still alive, who are still up to date. You see that there are few. That's where the whole thing came about. Yeah.
So you would advise whoever wants to be famous to have money before fame?
No. You have to define if you're going in for business or fame. Okay. You know, when you want fame, you end up doing so many things that are not necessary. Okay. You see yourself, it will affect your reputation, your social status. It will affect all that. But when you have in mind that I'm stepping out from my house today and wherever I'm going, I want to make money. Whatever it is, no matter how little, it makes a difference than you wanting to be part of everything. At the end of the day, you're nowhere. Right. That's what it's all about.
Right. So I buy into your same idea.
Thank you.
Want money, not fame.
Well, God first, though.
Yes, God first. Straight up.
Everything I used to tell people that I like money, but I like God more.
There's this notion, is the movie industry inside the Republic of Ghana dead?
Wow, that's another big question. It's not dead. It's not dead. But I guess there are some few setbacks here and there. You know, the Bible said a man is bound to fall 7 times and rise 7 times. Right. And I guess the Ghana movie is suffering from either the 3rd or the 4th fall. And I'm sure they will rise back. We are rising. I think you saw the latest movie, Taste of Sin, directed by, produced by Samira Yakubu. Yeah. It was wonderful. Yes, I'm part of it too. And I played some couple of scenes there with Majid, James Gardner, one of my best artists right now. Reverend himself. No, that's Duncan Williams himself. Daddy, yes, he's on it. And then some other Americans. It's just a wonderful movie. Yeah. I watched it. I was amazed myself. So it's not like it's dead. I think we are rebranding everything. I think that should be the better word because we had few lapses back in the days, and I found myself also in the middle. You know, when you know, I think I should just be straight to the point here. When you go to Atlanta, they don't say because you're from Washington, for that reason, then you have residence permit to come and stay in Atlanta. Or you want to go and stay in maybe Maryland. You don't need that. Then we're here in Africa. They've always seen us as Africans. But to be very frank with you, it's very expensive to live in Ghana. I'm not talking about the economy. I'm not part of those. I'm talking about what is required for you to stay in Ghana, like residence permit. It's very expensive. When we started, they said, oh, before you can, if you're a Nigerian, for a foreigner, let's use the word in quote, for a foreigner, and you want to establish a business here in Ghana, you have to pay 300,000. I remember I was on one show with Councillor Lutras. We argued over it. I said, yo, you Have you seen $300,000 before? How can you tell boys on the street selling phone batteries and accessories to pay $300,000 before they can run? It's not nice. It doesn't make sense. Yeah. Then suddenly I heard it's now 1 million, and it wasn't really okay. That was where the whole problem started. Then they, at the Opera Square, they started closing shops. They say, no, if you don't have the 300,000, but I had a shop there, you know, so, but they didn't close mine. Perhaps they also have some sort of recognition that, and they felt, I was also honored. I felt, oh, okay, since they didn't close mine, I don't have to, let me just shut up. Okay. Then I tried to revive the business, and I called who was then the chairman of Nigerian Actors Guild, NSOB, who we grew up together. You know, I called him, I told him what was going on. He flew down. We came, we had a meeting with the Opera Square with the presence of Abdul Salam and all the rest of them. Right. So we agreed that, okay, those things are not applicable to those selling movies and all that. Mm-hmm. Then we even signed a contract to that effect, and then they left. Mm-hmm. After they left, it was not up to 3 months. They came back with the same thing. Then those boys that were bringing CDs from Nigeria and taking Ghana movies to Nigeria, they were nowhere to be found again. They left. That was where the whole thing started. So I tried to talk about it. Like, yo, come on. We are killing the industry. Why don't you wake up and do something? Before we know it, CD now is out of the picture. We're not part of that new page where you go on the net, you want to watch a movie, you go to one particular site, you want to go and watch it. If we had kept to that promise, I'm sure we would have been part of that revolution. Right. But we were not part of it. Before we wake up, they've left us already. Nigerians have gone far. Right. That was what really happened. Right. Then it didn't mean that the movie industry was down. It didn't mean that we lacked talent. It didn't mean that we lacked producers and investors. It only lacked sales. Even till now, we are still having that same problem. Okay. When we produce movies, it's very difficult to sell it. Okay. It's very, very difficult to sell any movie, even to DSTV and all the rest of them. It's very difficult because of same problems. So, yeah.
Why everybody, I've had a whole lot of actors and actresses over here. When we're talking about sales, they look at DSTV. But for the average Ghanaian or the average person who's watching, maybe the person can afford the monthly subscription payment for those ones. Why don't you look at, for instance, the FTAs, free televisions like CTV, bringing your material or your stuff over here so that we help churn or showcase what you have? Oh. Because some people have the view that you per se, somebody sent me a message, said like, oh, that's Mr. EZE. He used to do music. What's up with him now? So people don't even know. They don't even know that you're still acting. You're still into movie production and the likes. Mm-hmm.
Thanks for that question again.
Right.
So let me ask you, are you trying to say that they should bring it to free on air?
No, I'm saying, you could go to this FTA, you could come to CTV, look at our boss, meet our bosses, strike deals with them. Then they'll see which times to show your movies. Because I'm being honest with you, it's not everybody who can pay the monthly subscription. Okay. But once they on and they have prepaid, they on their television, says it's on CTV, they're just watching it.
That's true. You know, I bite your idea, but let me answer you. Let me be direct as well. Okay. What matters is money. Money. It costs you money to produce a movie. Right. If you want to produce a standard movie in Ghana now, you spend nothing less than $10,000. Wow. Nothing less than $10,000. Looking at the equipment standard, we shoot on 4K. Before you can have a quality movie that can be shown out there, a lot of money. You have to shoot on. The list is 4K. We shoot 6K. Like this Chronicle of Dombochi, 6K, because we realized that the quality is what was one of the problems we're having, and we decided to go on the real quality. Let's shoot whatever it is. Let's spend time. But you spend all that, and some of the TV stations, I don't mean to defame anybody at all. They are not encouraging. They are not. You see, bring the movie one stars in Ghana. How can you spend $10,000? Somebody's mentioning 1,000 Ghana. So you should look for where you get the money. Okay. So DSTV can give you block. Can give you $4,000 or $5,000 for a movie, and after 1 year you sell again. After the other year, so it depends. So if you have quality movie, you can sell it for 5 years. Okay. That's the problem. Okay. It's not like we can't bring it. So we can imagine this latest movie we did last few months, we released A Taste of Sin. So we had to go to the cinema hall to be able to generate income. Yeah. And of course, it paid well. It was okay. But you see, after the cinema and everything, you see now that we can now decide to sell to other stations. Okay. But let's say our stations, or for instance, the Actors Guild of Ghana now decides to talk to the TV stations and tell them, oh, you know what? Any movie that is produced, we probably class it first class, second class, third class movie. And third class movie could be artists with 2 actors, popular actors like maybe Majid or Jackie, or the first class should contain like 6 crowd-pulling artists, like you name them. Yeah. In this case, we've classed it. And then they can encourage them to buy. They support the producers. It's difficult, but you see, they prefer to take the Kumkum Baja and all the rest of them and translate it, and it hurts the producers here because we have indigenous stories. We have movies that can change life, and I can help talk about our societal ills. But they will prefer to buy, and that one not be for free. They'll still go, they will pay a lot of money and get it, and still pay money to translate peso by peso. That's in every comment you translate it. Right. It's quite, so that money, why don't you put it together and encourage the producers? Ganaija Films, what we do, we normally bring the main artists and the upcomers, and we merge them. Okay. Yes. And from our camp, there are new faces you see out there who are really trending now. Okay. So I just wanted to correct that. So we merge them. We don't just go all out and take all the artists and leave the upcoming one. No. Okay. We can't make it. So we give rooms. I think Doreen too can testify to that. Okay. Yeah. So now, if you want to be part of the production, normally we throw up an audition where people are attracted. We just did one very recently, and it was on social media, it was trended, and we had like almost 200 people who turned out, yes. So out of 200, we streamlined to about 30 of them, and they are now part of our new cast. Wow. So our new movies coming out right now will have their faces. That's what we normally do. I probably can't say this is the number, or you call right now. If not, follow us on Gmail, on Instagram, TikTok, it's still Ganaija TV. Or you follow me as well. I can also listen to you or give you directives. But giving you a specific number now, it's a bit difficult, practically impossible. Ganaija TV. Ghana, then put IJA, then TV. Yes. Okay. So you can as well go there. There's lots of nice movies there, like the one we did with Frank Atus, with Christabel AK. Yeah. They're all there. The one with Frank Atus is Faith and... Blind Reproach. Blind Reproach. Yeah. It has a storyline of, for instance, like you being with your wife and like X coming down and then doing some coming in. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And another thing you said, Larry, I don't self-cast myself. I work with professionals. Right. Most of that's why you see the quality you see, because you can't bake your cake and have it. Sometimes we've come up with scripts and I didn't fit in, and we have to get those that fit in to do the movie. Yes, you mustn't be in all your movies now. You can't just be. If you look at, if I be specific, which one can I even mention? There are a lot of them out there on our station too, on our channel. I'm not on it. Ganaija TV. Yeah, but it's part of our movies. Right, bro. Yeah, I've learned a lot from you. Thank you. I've learned a lot from you. Thank you so very much for passing through. Igwe. Thank you so very much for passing through, ladies and gentlemen. I've had a session with my brother man, who's an ace actor, dancer, singer, songwriter, and of course a promoter that has done a lot for the Republic of Ghana. 2004, actually, he came out with the EZE, or should I say EZE Promotions, and then that was when the likes of Two-Face Idibia, Samini, Shatawale, Tig, Tiny, all these people perform over there when we talk about Loud in Accra. And he said a lot about that particular one. Apart from that, he has done over 600 movies, lifetime movies. So check it out on Ganaija TV on YouTube. Ganaija TV on YouTube. You have a message? Of course, I have. Yeah, you're going to channel it. Well, I will say big up to everyone who has been supporting this movement. Right. And I am honored to be here. Right. Without me, without you guys, there's no me. Right. I have been on this track for a very long time, and the only thing that kept me moving It's just for the fact that some people out there, they keep asking for my music, they keep asking for my movies.
Yeah.
And for some of you who haven't seen my movies or music very recently, in every step in life, you have to go back and update, just like your phone. So I was able to go back to school and I tried to put myself back in shape. And I think that's the more reason why you have not frequently. But I've been there. I've been relevant every year because I know every year there's one thing about me. Either movie or music comes out there. Very recently, you see, I'm part of the A Taste for Sin. Go and watch that movie. That movie is crazy.
Taste of
I
Sin.
saw it. I was touched. I'm part of it. And watch out for Chronicle of Dombuchi. It's a very lengthy series that we just came. We have the first and second series is coming on your screen any moment from now. I'm sure we'll drop it with CTV. So just stick to this TV station. You know, and for those that really, I know you want to call and ask questions. I know you don't have the time, or probably the opportunity was not given to you. And I know if I can guess your question, it will be one, how you become an actor or how you can become a musician. You see, as I've explained all this with Larry from the beginning, don't give up. Not because someone took your number or say I was going to call you. No, know that it's a process. You just keep practicing. One day you see the angels coming to you. That guy over there. That's what it did to me. I went a couple of auditions and all that, and I was not choosing. So please, don't give up. Keep your eyes on the praise because God will point at you. If you're talented, of course, there's a space. Look at how big the sky is. And there's every star has its own space. And I believe you too, you have your own space. Don't give up. And for the musicians, let me tell you something. The talent is not just enough. Yes, talent is not enough. You need to shine your talent. Go to school. Like when I realized there was this music thing in me, it took me a whole lot of years. And the moment I realized I have that music in me, what I did was to go back to school. I went to study music and theater art. And today I feel I'm a lot better. I'm confidently talking on the TV today, telling you that I'm a musician. I'm not just a musician, maybe computer musician. It's with the rudiments of music, from the crochet to the harmony to all the rest of them, and instrument as well. So those are the things that makes you a musician. So please, and for my brothers out there, hip life artists, I still want us to come under one umbrella with the help of Reggie Rockstone and maybe the musical president at present. I want you to try and organize some seminar for the musicians, and that will help. Even at the musical office there, you can have a good environment, give them something, encourage them, and try to teach them. Tell them about this hip life thing. I don't think, unless of course you want to still have the umbrella of dancehall. I'm not disputing that. Shatta Wale has really proven a lot with that. He has changed the face of music, but I still want him to know that he is not a dancehall artist. He's a hip life artist. Thank you so much.
All right, bro. Thank you so very much for passing through, ladies and gentlemen.